Hello everyone, welcome to a new session of the HPP Innovation Week. My name is Mario Gonzalez and I work in the HPP Food Applications Department here at Hiperbaric in Spain. You can also contact my colleague Vinicio, who is based in the US, but we work very closely together. So today I would like to talk about how to innovate your packaging for a more sustainable product for HPP. So I will start with a very brief introduction regarding packaging. Packaging is a key factor for the development process of any HPP product. It is very critical, but it is also very simple to have the right packaging for any application. This aspect is very important for two main reasons. It gives functionality to your products. For instance, shelf life is increased thanks to packaging. And also, if you find the right barrier properties, you can also extend shelf life for even more time. It also protects the products, preventing damage and contaminations from the environment. And it is also a very important attribute for marketing because you can create very attractive designs that catch people's attention. It is also very important from a risk perspective. It prevents incidents such as contaminations with pathogens or physical agents that can cause some issues. This also helps to protect the brand, avoiding recalls, and also helps to prevent the loss of confidence from our customers. Regarding suitability, well, you know already HPP. The impact process applies pressure in the final package. So this means that the materials not suitable for the process are glass, metal, and carton. Glass is very rigid and it will break in the machine if we place it inside. Metal is somehow flexible, but it's not elastic. So once we change the shape of a metal cans, for instance, they will not recover the original shape. And carton, of course, this material is not waterproof, so it will destroy inside the machine in contact with water. On the other hand, suitable materials for HPP, they are all flexible, elastic, and of course water resistant. So plastic is usually the most common solution. Here you have a nice summary of different packaging options. All of them are suitable for HPP, bottles, pouches, cups, trays, or even bags. And you can also see the range of plastic materials that are suitable for these formats. PET is the most common for bottles. High density or low density polyethylene is also very common for pouches. It can be also used for cups, but polypropylene is also very common in this format. And the same goes for trays, okay? Polypropylene or high density polyethylene are very common. And plastic bags, yeah. I have only here two examples, but there are many different multi-layer materials that can be used and are suitable for HPP. We can also improve functionality of plastic packaging using barrier materials such as EVO or which is a very good barrier for oxygen, for instance. So if we want to make our plastic packaging more sustainable, we have different alternatives, different options, okay? We can, of course, change the material and go for a bioplastic, such as PLA, as we will discuss later. We can use recycled PET, or we can add some additives to the plastic, so it becomes easier to decompose, to degrade in the environment. Another strategy is to reduce the amount of plastic. We can increase the volume of the package, so we can process more product using less plastic. And we can also decrease the amount of air, so we increase the efficiency of the process. And finally, we can go for new technologies. And at the end of this presentation, I will briefly introduce to you the Hyperbaric's in bulk technology. So When it comes to bioplastics, PLA, polylactic acid, is maybe the most common and the most developed one. There are others that are being developed, but PLA is already a commercial solution that you can implement. It is a biopolymer. It comes from renewable sources, such as starch from potato, corn, for instance. It has very good barrier properties, very similar to conventional plastic, and it is biodegradable and compostable. Okay, so there are already some examples in the market, and yeah, here I have two companies that are offering PLA solutions for bottles, for instance. Okay. There is also some research to support this. Uh, this study here compares the performance of PLA bottles compared to PET. PET is a very common plastic material for bottles. So this study, for instance, regarding the bottle, they found no deformation, no visual changes in the bottles after applying HPP. You can see that conditions used in the study were 6,000 bar for 3 minutes. There were also no changes in the gas composition of the headspace of the bottles. You can see here in the graphs that the CO2 and oxygen concentrations were comparable between PET and PLA bottles during 28 days of storage. And there were also no changes in hermeticity. So yeah, there were no leakers and bottles were watertight. When it comes to the juice that the bottles had inside, in this case it was apple juice, microbial results were comparable between PET and PLA, and color was also very similar, as you can see in the graph. The juice in PET bottles followed a very similar trend to the juice in PLA bottles. So they performed in a very similar way, both materials. A different alternative, just to increase sustainability of the process, is to use recycled PET. PET is very easy to recycle, so this makes of PET a good solution for bottles, for instance, for juice production, because it is very easy to recycle and use it many different times. And you can even recycle PET again and again and again. Okay. So some companies are already using recycled PET bottles in their products just to launch more sustainable products. And here I have some examples. For instance, the company Press London, they have this special bottle made from recycled PET, but also PLA. Mase in Italy, they have recycled PET bottles for their products. And so Natural in Portugal, they also use high amounts of recycled PET in their bottles. A different alternative is to accelerate the decomposition, the degradation of these materials, so they don't stay in the environment for a very long time. This is the case of Captiva Containers, who have developed the EcoClear additive. This additive is added during the manufacture of standard PET. The purpose of this additive is just to enhance the decomposition by microorganisms. So bottles with this additive will be decomposed, degraded in 5 to 7 years, which is much less time compared to conventional PET that takes around 122,000 years to decompose. Okay. And good news is that, yeah, this material is compatible with HPP, and some companies are already using this material in their bottles for juice production. Yeah, different strategies to reduce the amount of plastic. And we have two options here. We can use larger volume packaging. So this reduces the amount of plastic per use of liter. And we can also reduce the gas content in the package. So we can place more products in a container, and we also increase the filling ratio of the machines, and we use less energy to process the same amount of product. At Hyperbaric, we have been in collaboration with Petainer. Petainer is this company producing these nice cakes, which are made from recyclable materials. They are very light, in lightweight, so they have thin walls of plastic, so they really reduce the amount of plastic that is needed to create the container. And they are also UV light and oxygen resistant. Okay, so you can protect your product from oxidation. This also increases the shelf life of your products. You reduce waste, and this is a nice way to help the environment. And as I said, you can also reduce the amount of air. Okay, this has many benefits, not only from an environmental point of view, but also from yeah, to have a successful product with HPP, because normally high amounts of air lead to packaging failures, seals failure, or product defects. Okay, but yeah, it also helps to run more cycles, because if we reduce the amount of air, we can run more cycles because it takes less time to compress the air inside, and and so on. So reducing the amount of air has many benefits from different perspectives. Again, there is also some research to support this idea. This study here compares the two different processing technologies. One is HVP, and the other one is modified atmosphere packaging, okay, which is also very common in the food industry. So yeah, uh, modified atmosphere increased the environmental impacts, um, because we only have a very small amount of products in this type of packaging. All the rest is air contained in a lot of plastic. Okay, so with HVP we can place, let's say, vacuum or skin packed products with no air at all, so we can really increase the efficiency of the process, and the amount of plastic needed is also reduced compared to modified atmosphere. HVP can also extend shelf life even more than modified atmosphere alone. So with this, we reduce the waste, and in life cycle assessments, for instance, this has a clear impact. You can see this in the picture, in the graph on the right. Um, we have different indicators of environmental impacts, and HVP is beneficial compared to modified atmosphere in all of them, besides only one, I think, is stratospheric ozone depletion. Yeah, you can see the arrow on the right. So yeah, this is the only indicator where HVP scores worse than modified atmosphere, and is maybe more related to the energy consumption required to process the products. But for the other indicators, HVP scores always higher. And finally, yeah, as I introduced at the beginning, you can also go for a different processing technology. Uh, Here I briefly introduced the hyperbaric in bulk technology. Uh, you have the steps of the process here. The unprocessed product is sent from an storage tank to an inlet tank. From there, it fills a bag in the machine, and water is pumped inside the vessel to compress this bag that is filled with a liquid product. Pressure is held for a few minutes. This is identical to impact HVP, and afterwards pressure is released. Then the processed product is unloaded to an outlet tank, and from there it goes to the filling station. Okay, so the main advantage of this process is that you can use different materials other than plastic, just to pack, to fill the processed juice. You can go for glass, for metal, for plastic, or carton. Okay, here we have an example from one of our customers that is using carton bricks. Okay, so those are more sustainable, let's say, than conventional plastic. So yeah, this was all from my side. I hope that with this presentation you have a nice overview on how to improve the sustainability of the HPP process, making some changes in the packaging that we can use for HPP. So I hope you enjoyed this session. Please keep watching our next sessions. Thank you.